Today on the podcast, we're going to address the number one most common criticism of CrossFit. We're going to reveal what that is and then give you guys the real truth. Stick around.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast. So great to have you here. This is our opportunity to meet and learn from our CFE coaches, to also occasionally chat with some of our local CrossFitters here at CrossFit Edwardsville. And occasionally we get to talk with some of our local citywide Glen Ed, as we like to call it, business owners, and meet some of the characters behind them. Today, we are specifically getting to talk with one of our CFE coaches. My name's Dallas Amsden. You know me as your Communicate to Succeed coach, but with me, as always, the incomparable one, Coach G. Skell. What's up, brother?
Happy Tuesday to you, man. It's good to see you. It's been a minute. How are you feeling today?
Tuesday to you too, man. You know what, dude? I'm great.
Love that. I love that answer.
Rocking it, crushing it, rolling it. I don't know other ways to do it, but that's what I'm doing. Rocking, rolling, crushing. You name it, it's all good. How about you?
I love to hear that. Cheers. It makes me happy to hear that. I know you've been firing at all cylinders lately in terms of like health, fitness, business, everything, man.
Yep. We'll talk about that on another show sometime. But usually, So this is one of these quick hit episodes, everybody. It's going to be a little shorter than our normal interview style ones, because every now and again, G-Skill likes to drop the knowledge bombs on us. And sometimes it's like the top 5 mistakes you're making on this, or the top 3 things on that. Today we have one item, just one, G-Skill.
We're going to wade right into the controversy waters on this one.
I was going to say, I don't even think we're waiting. I think we're going to go to the deep end and jump in 2 feet into it.
Okay, cannonball style.
Belly flop into that deep end of controversy. So G-Skill, we have talked about in the past some of the concerns and or fears that people have around CrossFit. Sure. You know, I even saw a meme the other day that said, go to Globo Gym, Planet Fitness, we'll just say it. Go there, pay them $10 a month, and they'll make sure that you have a nice, quiet environment to work out in and that nobody disturbs you. Go to a CrossFit gym, and you can pay, way more than $10 a month, and you're going to get a tennis shoe addiction, maybe some random shoulders, flexibility, mobility stuff that you're not aware of. And you're going to want to do it more and more. And it's going to be super loud, super crazy, super community. That's not really a complaint because people love the community around CrossFit. But there are other concerns and or fears that people have around that. So jump in 2 feet. What is the number one complaint / concern that you hear about CrossFit most frequently?
The number one concern is, this is unsafe. This is dangerous. I'm going to get hurt doing this. And as we wade into this topic, I want to say that I've been highly encouraged, that I do believe that the truth has already started to come out over the last several years, and that CrossFit has begun to have a more accurate reputation, that it's actually a great place to go to get quality coaching and learn how to do movements correctly, maybe wild and different ones you've never done before, maybe. But for anybody out there that is still living in 2005, where maybe the perception is that CrossFit is unsafe, we love to address that today. And I want to start this too by saying that, to an extent, maybe we deserved that reputation early on. Not because that we were actually dangerous or putting ourselves in harm's way, but I mean, for the love of God, our mascot was Pukey the Clown.
Yeah, Rapto the Clown. Yeah.
The clown bent over, puking his guts out because he just did a workout that was stupendously difficult.
Yeah.
And CrossFit has proudly over the years embraced its reputation as anti-establishment, as rogue and renegade and underground and rough and tumble. And we are proudly sticking it to the man by doing fitness in a different way.
Yep.
And we don't care if we make everybody mad that we do 10 reps of clean and jerks, not just one.
Yep.
We're going to do kipping pull-ups like gymnastics people do, but we're going to do it for strength and stamina. I'm going to make a lot of people mad about that. CrossFit has done a lot to, I guess, try and piss off our parents, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe we brought this on ourselves. Maybe we deserve it. But the fun and the encouraging fact is that in practice, this is actually one of these safer ways to exercise.
Yep.
And I want to speak to that a little bit. I want to speak that today a little bit.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you that the early days definitely felt, we use rogue barbells and things like that, but it felt roguish in CrossFit. I mean, the early perception was, even the early games, when I saw some of the documentaries on the early games, I'm like, these people are nuts. They're fit, but they're also like insane at the same time, that had that edge of like, y'all are a little crazy. But I was really drawn to the complex movements. I was drawn to the fact that I wasn't just doing barbell, chest press stuff, or just doing these isolated movements in the gym that frankly were getting boring in just lifting weights. I actually enjoyed the fact that, I'm going to be using more than one muscle group in this particular workout. And that I got results quickly. But I will say, one of the fears going in, apart from I think the fear that you probably hear a lot also is, I have to get in shape to do CrossFit.
Sure.
We've dispelled that one on this show before.
Right.
But the idea of, well, if I don't know how to do that, I'm going to get hurt. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, we don't expect you to know how to do this when you arrive on site. So, true for our gym, I think true for any quality CrossFit gym, you're going to have a required onboarding or progression. So you can have a proper introduction to all these movements where you can practice the movements with PVC or body weight only, and learn how to do the right variation for you based on your skill level, your strength. So you can embrace a movement in a safe way, get the benefits of that movement, but also do the proper variation, do the safe, intelligent variation of that, the one that's right for you. Mm-hmm. And CrossFit, across the board, pretty much anywhere you go is going to have an onboarding program that's going to allow you to ease into all of this and safely phase into this. And then even beyond onboarding, I see most of the coaches that I have an opportunity to work alongside actually care quite a bit about Dallas Amsden moving with excellence. It's a point of pride for us as coaches that if you're in our class, that you're demonstrating exemplary movement as well as a great effort, right? Which the right variation of a movement could be very different for Dallas than it is for Heather, than it is for Jake, than it is for Scott. So case in point, yesterday's workout involved power cleans, and there are lots of variations of power cleans. And when people are new to it, we have them work from position 1, the high hang. It's a less complicated, less technical version of the movement. We were doing a power clean series for strength work yesterday. And there were a few athletes on my side of the gym that were pretty new to CrossFit, and they were trying to do the same variation of the exercise from the floor they saw people doing over on the other side of the gym, where people are more experienced, more veteran. And I'm proud to say that the coach stepped in and said, you know what? I love that you're excited about advancing, but let's go ahead and take a step back here and work on this variation to be sure that you really learn and rehearse and memorize and pattern drill the mechanics properly, so that when you get to that variation over there, that you can do it in the right way. And you don't have to make this more complicated now. You can enjoy this variation of the workout is easier to do. It's easier to get a sense of victory. And the thing was, they weren't doing anything unsafe. Even by jumping 3 or 4 levels to the next variations of the exercise, their movement was close enough that it still would have been safe. But the coach still identified, you know what? There's a value to gradual progression over time. you don't have to rush into the most complicated variation of an exercise. You don't have to rush into putting big plates on a bar.
Yeah.
Most really great coaches will probably require you to exercise a lot of restraint before jumping into something wild and crazy.
Yep.
Not that wild and crazy is bad. I want to address this too, that I think one of the things that made CrossFit catch on like wildfire is that the workouts are proudly wild and crazy. And you see people on the interwebs doing all kinds of wild and crazy things, which can create a skewed perspective that, oh, everybody in CrossFit is doing wild and crazy things.
Right.
There is a value in being polarizing. And I think that CrossFit really, they rode that train a long way, because it was like, this is true for anything. Like you can develop your most rabid followers by being the kind of extreme where some people will love your madness and some people will completely hate your madness. But you're not in the boring middle. And that's definitely always been true for CrossFit. We are definitely not in the boring middle. We are proudly toward like this perception of extreme where, we're doing movements in quote unquote controversial ways that, make some exercise purists really, really mad, and make some people that are a little more attracted to being underground, anti-establishment, a little bit more Fight Club, stick it to the man. We're not going to exercise in the same boring way that all the other conformist sheep do. We're going to do our own thing.
Listen to this rebel attitude coming out of you right now. We're not going to conform. These sheep. Yeah, no, it definitely has that vibe. And you're absolutely right about, I think one of the great things about the CFE community is the coaching, is the team that's there. I have had coaches say to me, slow down in the middle of a Metcon, because they could see that I was pulling faster than I needed to, or, all sorts of various things. And so to be able to actually go, hey, back up 2 steps. Like you said, I know you want to get there, but if you do it this way, it's going to be more efficient. It's actually going to be more effective.
Yeah.
More dynamic for me. And then in the long run, I've put the building blocks in place for actually higher levels of strength when I get to that point. Because
I want to bring up 2 things in response to this, Dal. So like anytime I coach an onboarding, I'll ask them, why is good technique important? There's a lot of good answers to that question, but one of the answers I liked here is that if you have great technique in any exercise, you get more of the good things, you get more of the positive outcomes and fewer of the negative ones. And we all want that, right? Now, what's interesting is that it doesn't necessarily need to be a point where it's unsafe, where our coaches will pull the plug on something. There's a great dude that gets to work out with me occasionally. I was working out with him earlier today, just this morning. We were doing a particular kind of shoulder to overhead exercise behind the neck push press. And I noticed he's kind of like nursing or perseverating on his shoulder in between sets. And he's like, you know what? It just doesn't quite feel right today. It didn't hurt. There's nothing wrong. His technique was great. He's doing everything right. He's like, it doesn't feel right today. We're like, you know what? Pull the plug on it, because we'll listen to our bodies and make an intelligent decision. Like most of us are married, working professionals. We have kids, we have jobs, we have things going on, and spending time on the disabled list is just not really an option for us. So we have to make a smart choice.
You've done that to me too. I mean, we when we were in the gym, I don't know, a week or 2 ago together, a couple weeks ago. And you knew I had been nursing a back thing that's just been bugging me for a while, and I've been rehabbing it. But you were like, hey, don't do this from the floor. Just do this from this position. And you specifically said there's no reason to put the extra strain on that part of your body at this moment, because it might cause a flare-up of a pre-existing condition. And there's no reason to do that. I still sweated like a monster, got a great workout in, and felt the effectiveness later on, felt those endorphins later through the day. And I didn't do the full range of motion that you were doing on that particular exercise. It still works. And I think too, the scalability of every CrossFit movement. Yes, we see the people in the games that are going 50 yards on their hands, doing turns and pirouettes and going back. That's not the average typical CrossFitter who you say goes and has a job and a family afterward. Instead,
Right.
there's other movements that we do that mimic the effectiveness without necessarily having to do that level.
And I'll throw out this last thing as we sort of wrap up the podcast here, that if you are actually interested in doing exercise in a safer way, CrossFit is a fantastic choice.
Yep.
Every variable in a workout can be adjusted, modified. Load, volume, intensity, range of motion, everything can be adjusted, which is actually there's a lot more flexibility in what you do versus pretty much any other kind of physical fitness. Obviously, anytime you are pushing your physical limits, things can go wrong. That's true if you're climbing a tree. That's true if you're running a hill. That's true if you're lifting a rock. That's always true, right?
Yep.
But if you actually care about real data, weightlifting, CrossFit, and there is data on this, is actually safer than every single major national sport.
Yep.
Do you want your kids to be in great shape, be actually strong, have great endurance, have healthy body weight? Have them do CrossFit. Don't have them do cheerleading. Have them do CrossFit. Don't have them do football or soccer, because the actual rate of injury in every single major national sport, badminton, Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas.
I'm sure the pickleball injuries are piling up nowadays.
Yeah. And interesting, like if you actually check the data, the sport that has the highest rate of catastrophic injury in the country, what would you guess that it is, Dallas? It's very surprising until you think about it, like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Well, you just said badminton, so I hope it's not that, because that would crack me up.
Badminton.
I'd probably say it's golf.
It's not even golf.
What is it?
It's cheerleading.
Oh,
cheerleading
sure.
has the highest rate of catastrophic injury, and then football is up there too.
Yeah.
And again, like I'm not here to badmouth sports. I'm just here to say, if we're actually looking at real data, if you actually care about choosing a safer path, come join us at CrossFit Edwardsville, where you can learn how to do movements with excellence, get all the benefits of those movements.
Yep.
And the data says do it in a safer way.
Well, and you can go longer with it than you would in a typical sport. I don't know too many 45-year-olds that are still playing soccer because they've got an ankle this and a calf that and a hamstring this. So everybody, hey, G, thank you for this conversation today. Everybody, if you're here, you're listening to us, we would love for you to check us out on the interwebs. You can Google us and read hundreds of positive 5-star reviews. You can also you put in the Google machine, CrossFit Edwardsville. You can also check us out on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at CrossFit Edwardsville. When you are ready, go to CrossFitEdwardsville.com and click on that little button that says book a no sweat conversation. We'd love to talk to you about how we can help you look better, feel better, and perform better in every area of your life. That's at CrossFitEdwardsville.com. G, thank you so much for the time today, my man.
Thank you, Dallas. Thanks for hanging out today. Guys, thanks for listening. Have an amazing, beautiful, and blessed rest of your day.